Hey, good morning, everybody. It is Tuesday, April 28th, 2026. I, of course, am Hammer, founder of Hammer Solutions, home of great products such as Originator Success, Grab and Go Social, and Rate Sensei. Remember, you can join me live each and every weekday morning, 9:30 a.m. Eastern Time, broadcasted to you on Facebook and on YouTube. If you're here this morning, say good morning. If you would like to get a reminder so you don't miss a moment of the show, there it is. You can go ahead and sign up at hmmr.io/reminder or use this cool QR code. We send out a text as I'm going live with the link so you don't miss a moment of the show. If you're here this morning, say good morning. If you are watching on the replay, do me a favor. Just give me hashtag replay in the comments. Let me know that you were here. Don't forget to smash that like button, give the thumbs up, subscribe, all that good stuff. Your comments help my engagement. They keep me engaged. So make sure you come on here and chat with me as well. Let's go ahead and welcome the live folks, and then we'll get started. James Mahan, haven't seen you in a while. Good morning, sir. Mallory Fotiadas and Bobby J. Jones. Good morning. Kathy Jensen, Angela Walters. Good morning, all. Hope you all are having a great day. I'm going to go ahead. Let's jump in and get started. I am going to dive right in. Let's get to the technicals. Take a look at where we're at this morning. Right now, you will see that mortgage-backed securities are currently down. Let's see. There it goes. All right. Currently down 12 basis points on the morning. That's going to stack on top of where we were off yesterday, which is not the lovely, lovely thing that we want to see. If I pull over the text alerts from yesterday and zoom in on that, you will see that yesterday we started the day, we were down about 3 basis points. Generally, when most pricing came out, the 10-year was at 4.31. And I said bonds a bit worse, up a bit from the worst levels, basically flat on the day. Rate sheets should be similar to Friday when we see bonds improve a bit as the day goes on. Talks with Iran not going well until the Strait is open. We can't see rates push significantly lower. This week, the Fed will enter the picture with the Fed meeting on Wednesday. Float to start the day, but may lock some loans later. Around 1:30, you'll notice we sent out an alert. -3 had turned into -20. That's a big drop. Surprisingly, though, there were like no reprices worse yesterday. Very, very surprising to see that. I really have to tell you, very surprising to see that. So let me know in the comments if you got a reprice worse. Maybe I didn't see it, but I was surprised. It shows me lenders are pricing pretty conservatively right now. Wrapping up on the day, we were down about 18 basis points on the day. If you look back where we were the day before, we were at 99.19. We're currently at 98.91. So we're down about 30 basis points from where we were at. And so that means you're going to see, slightly worse pricing. If you're looking at rate sheets, let me go ahead and pop this back to. All right. If you're looking at rate sheets, you're going to see that we've been staying at 6.32. And again, seeing bonds, this is odd to me. Seeing bonds move as much as they have and not necessarily seeing it on the rate sheets. So at Mortgage News Daily, we went from 6.33 to 6.32, 32, 32, 32. And if you look from 420, where we were at, 420 was right here. We were at 99.41. We're at 98.91. That's minus 50 basis points. So it looks like lenders are absorbing some of the losses right now, as odd as that is. So, if you take this into account, as being consistent, we take a look at what's going on here. Let's do 1 month. You look at what's going on with Optimal Blue. Remember, the problem with these locks is that we don't know the rates or points. I mean, we don't know the points or fees. So the rates we could see, 6.277 on Thursday the 23rd, Friday 6.253, Monday 6.259. So, we're really not seeing much of a move. 253 to 0.259 is nothing, but it might have cost more to get there. That's what we have to kind of factor in on this. But this morning, mortgage-backed securities being down about 10 basis points. 10-year Treasury yield at 4.36. Want to catch your attention to that. We want to make sure it stays below 4.40, but you could see here it is definitely working up. We have worked up. See this pattern here? Let's go ahead and put this on 1 month. Actually, no, let's go back to 3 months, but let's just make this bigger. We'll zoom in on it. All right. So taking a look here, you could see, where we've been. You could tell that we're moving up quite consistently here. And 10-year treasury yield has been moving up. Mortgage-backed securities over on this side of the screen, right over here on this side of the screen. Okay, mortgage-backed securities starting here, moving lower. We're seeing them move lower. So this is not good. And so again, surprisingly, it looks like rate sheets have been pretty steady despite those losses. But it's going to catch up and it's going to continue. So keep that in mind. A quick recap. Bonds did lose ground yesterday at 10 a.m. We were right about here. We showed that we were down, went from -3 to -20 on the day. So we did lose ground. That would make you cry. Again, surprising to see. Let me double check here, right? There were just really, UWM, which reprices at the drop of a hat these days. But other than them, there's really no reported reprices. That's really, really kind of strange. I find that to be really odd. Rate sheets today we talked about are going to be worse than yesterday. Reprice risk on the day is moderate. We could see bonds continue to trickle worse. We're heading to the Fed meeting tomorrow. We're going to talk about that in a moment. But overall, I don't know that the Fed meeting is necessarily going to be good for bonds. And in fact, I would argue that markets could react differently with the idea that Kevin Warsh may be in, and this is Powell's last hoorah. But we don't know that. When you look at the expectations of Fed rate cuts, though, there is 0%. Markets are 100% expecting to see rates stay exactly the same as where they were. And I'll go to your comments in a minute, y'all. In June, not expecting to see any kind of rate cut. July, not really expecting to see a rate cut. Let's fast forward all the way to December. Remember, at one point, we were at a coin flip, 50-50. And now it's 20%, 80% expectation that we're going to see rates stay exactly where they're at right now, and barely about 20% that they would move lower by the end of the year. So we'll see if something changes with the meeting tomorrow. But the expectation is, that it's very hard for the Fed to cut rates when we are expecting more inflation due to higher oil costs. And right now, taking a look at oil is back up. Let's take a look at oil. Look at this. Oil is back up $111.60, $110 right now this morning. So it's back up to $110, well over 100. Again, we've seen a disconnect, so we're not seeing bonds sell off. It's definitely can contribute to the overall weakness in bonds, but we're not seeing a huge sell-off when they jumped. The reason you're seeing this jump is because, number one, we're still not getting any oil through the Strait of Hormuz. Number two, there is new talk from let's see, where do I have it? Here it is. UAE, the United Arab Emirates, are said that they're going to leave OPEC and OPEC Plus. And they figured now is a good time to do it because everything is messed up in the oil world anyway. So that is a thing. When it comes to locking loans, anything that's closing in the next 15 days, I would have locked up. Again, rates are holding steady. Let's take a look and see what Ron said about that. He said we were at a 220 basis point spread yesterday. We're at 100.98 spread between the 10-year and 30-year on MND. So yeah, you're seeing that there's a tightening in that spread, which is helping mortgage rates hold steady. But even still, mortgage-backed securities are still down about 50 basis points. So it's kind of strange to see. Mike Tebow said gas rose 40 cents a gallon yesterday. Yes. This thing's just drawing on. Been amazed at how low rates have remained and the actual stability. I agree, Randy. I've been very surprised by that as well. But again, we want to ride the momentum, and right now the momentum is moving back the other way. It's kind of a game of chicken. So Iran has oil tankers clustering just shy of the U.S. blockade line. Tankers laden with Iranian oil are clustering off Chabahar, a port in Iran that's outside the Persian Gulf, but just shy of the U.S. blockade line. 6 to 8 super tankers were idling in waters near the port in the Gulf of Oman late last week. Some 155 million barrels of Iranian crude are either in transit or floating storage all over the world. So right now we have this it's like a pimple. It's just pushing and pushing and pushing because Iran, they have been producing oil and they have nowhere to put it. So we've got oil tankers that are out there. If you look at Wall Street Journal, it says that Iran is flooded with so much unsold oil that it's stashing it in derelict tanks. So here's my question. What happens when we finally get a resolution and the Strait of Hormuz is open and oil is flowing? We're going to see this huge glut of supply. How quickly will that drive down the price of oil? Because it's supply and demand. So, as this draws out, the longer it goes on, the worse that it gets for things. But once we get a deal done, I would think that we're going to see just such a relief rally. We're going to see bonds go ahead and improve. Rates will improve. Problem is, when it comes to locking and floating, you got to look at risks and decide what's worth it. Holly Johnson said gas in Northwest Ohio over $4 a gallon had been sitting between $3.50 and $3.75 the entire time. So yeah. And if we see this continue with no resolution, then it's going to, we're going to see this continue to get worse. But when it comes to that, Trump to address the Iran proposal soon as oil rises further. So Iran said they may be willing to accept an interim deal to reopen the Strait of Hormuz if Washington ends its blockade. So far, strategically, it looks like this blockade has been a really good idea because it is pressuring Iran as much as the rest of the world now. Whereas before they were able to move oil and nobody else was. And that was a big deal. However, if you believe why we got into this whole thing and that it revolved around the idea of nuclear, Trump is saying he's not satisfied with Iran and they want to kick that conversation of nuclear down the road. And that basically kind of shows their hand and shows some weakness that the U.S. has more leverage and that it's working. So I don't think Trump is going to take that. I don't think he's looking for that. You don't go through all this just to give up at the end on that. So we'll see. We'll see. Not that you're happy about it, of course, but you're 10 miles to empty and had to get it this morning. Yeah, right. Price gap between dated Brent reflecting trading prices, a given range of cargo of crude oil as it's loaded into a crude carrier versus front month Brent futures, which is priced for delivery, is usually $1 to $2. Currently, it's $25 because Strait of Hormuz is closed, but it's expected to be open in 2 months. Thus, oil today is way more valuable than oil tomorrow. Don't confuse the prices. Yeah, I still stand by what I said, though. None of this was a good idea. Stop being political. Well, I'll be as political as I want. It's my show. Ha, ha, ha. It's funny because I get some people think I'm pro-Trump and some people think I'm anti-Trump. I don't have access to information, so I don't know why this was done as far as if it was a good idea. I don't know. I can't really comment. Have I seen it make sense? No, it doesn't make any sense. Does it look like we've won anything? No. So, but I don't know. So, and neither do you. That's the bottom line at the end of the day is where we stand on this. We're here now. So the question is, what do we think will happen moving forward? And I don't think that Trump is going to allow any kind of concession on the removal of nuclear, or at least trying to debilitate Iran with nuclear arms, because supposedly that's what this whole thing was about. So, and it is all political. So I'm going to be political. Ron says it'll take a bit to see additional supplies. Most countries have been drawing down their reserves. Capacity will be used both by consumers and refilling the worldwide reserves. That's true. So a lot of the extra supply goes back into reserves, and that'll create that extra demand. So good point. Definitely a good thing to see. So anyway, when it comes to rates and pricing, tomorrow we've got the Fed meeting. So we'll talk more about that, of course, tomorrow. But when it comes to this, the real everything that's floating around here has to do with Are we going to see any Fed rate cuts, and what will Powell say? Is Powell going to leave? All these things are going to kind of come up tomorrow. I don't think that there's anything that can happen that's going to really help rates tomorrow. I don't think that, Powell's going to say everything is dependent in the new this, and he's going to avoid. I just don't see anything that could really help rates with the Fed meeting tomorrow, which is why I remain in the same stance that I've been, which is to lock anything closing in the next 15 days because it's just not worth it. And anything 15 to 30 days, you really got to consider locking risk averse loans right now. As we pointed out, rate sheets really are holding steady. And if things continue to get worse, the question is, if you've got a couple of weeks, what happens to the labor data next week? What happens after this Fed meeting? But anything risk averse, we could look back here and wish we had locked already. And I think that there's a lot of loans that are going to fall into that situation. So I don't think there's anything wrong with locking a loan right now, any loan. And eliminating the risk. When we do see the Strait of Hormuz open, we're going to see rates improve. How much will they improve? Probably not that significantly. Probably better pricing, maybe an eighth of a point in rate, but I don't see that they'll necessarily be too much more than that. We'd really have to wait and see. So Ron Siegel said, at any point in time, we have to have some level of faith in our elected leaders. And well, that's it, right? Regardless of party, the political leaders have more info than we do. We're just pawns of the political system, especially you in California. Plus, there's the aspect of restarting wells that may need to be shut down if the embargo runs longer. Are you talking about over there in Iran, in the Middle East? Then yeah, I'm sure that's something that they have to deal with and handle. So that's weird. I have a cat hair in my mouth. That's what happens when you have the barn cats. So looking to see if there's any other comments. I think we're good, y'all. So anyway, thanks again for joining me again. Right now, it's not a good outlook. This thing's dragging on. When it breaks, it'll break quick. In the meantime, rates have kind of held steady. It's a good time to lock in some loans. So just keep it in mind, just to minimize risk, because once we do see something end, things will improve. Again, I don't think they'll improve that much, though. Maybe an eighth in rate, mainly we'll see. So Ron said sometimes, supposedly, if wells are shut down, sometimes they simply cannot be restarted. I haven't watched season 2 of Landman, so I really can't comment on that one. I don't know much about oil or anything, so can't really argue about that one. So, all right, my friends. Well, again, thank you for joining me. Appreciate all of you. Randy said, "How's my knee?" Actually, sir, since you asked, I am going to go today and have a wound check done where the stitches are. It looks like I might have a very minor infection, but I don't want minor to turn into a major infection. Anything that affects the bone or the device could be very, very problematic. But otherwise, I won't show you all pictures because, we won't be gross. I don't think that there's a big deal, but I want them to look at it and possibly, if they think there's a need to go on an antibiotic, to make sure I avoid it. The biggest complication to a knee surgery that I've seen is if you get an infection, they have to go in and clean it out, take the stuff out. It's not something I would want to go through at all. It would make me regret this entire process. So hopefully that is off the table, knock on wood, that's just not an issue. So I'm sore, but I'm moving well, building up my strength, and we'll see where it goes. I'm happy with the flexion, extension, happy with my movement, able to go up and down the stairs, walking, certainly not taking any running, but I'm 4 weeks today, a month in. Healing takes a long freaking time. You just got to remind yourself that you've cut bones and done weird things, and it takes a while. But it's been 2 years. I'm almost 2 years since I broke my leg, and that took 3 months, 4 months to really kind of get up and get moving and be going. So I just got to be patient. But thank you for asking, my friend. I appreciate it. All right, I'll catch y'all later, and hope y'all have a fantastic day, and we'll see what tomorrow brings. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.